Have you ever seen a great player join Manchester United only for them to disappoint? Of course you have. You know, the Red Devils' 10 priciest signings cost over £700 million, and nearly all of them have fallen short of expectations. And in this video, I'll reveal the secret reason behind this that nobody talks about, and the solutions I have to solve it. So my name is Julian, and this is why everyone flops at Manchester United. Leopards don't change their spots. A quote echoed by United legend Roy Keane back in 2021. In that moment, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer faced a situation eerily similar to what happened 3 years earlier with Jose Mourinho. He lost control of his dressing room and his job. Many believe Solskjaer was the sole problem, and that hiring a new manager that season would simply solve everything. But 2022 taught us a different lesson, that the players were a problem. Private details about the squad leaked to the press daily. Unhappiness with tactics and playing time, reports of training ground bust-ups, and even comparisons of a coach to Ted Lasso. How does it get that bad? To get those answers, we have to look back. Before Jose Mourinho's sacking, his fallout with every player in the squad not only led to poor results, but also made the players feel like victims. And then Ole's initial success at United was because he was the polar opposite of his predecessor. His nurturing style was a breath of fresh air to the players. But there's a problem. Over time, the Norwegians' approach led to complacency and a loss of discipline on part of the players. By the time Ole was let go, the United dressing room had become completely toxic, mostly filled with young millionaires living dream lifestyles, often lacking humility and grit, and at that point had known basically nothing but failure. That is a recipe for disaster. And looking back, it's no wonder why Ralf Rangnick couldn't get it together there. So why does this all matter? Well, it's pretty obvious. Manchester United has a culture problem, and that is the most underrated reason why so many players go over there and fail. Let me explain. In Jack Grealish's first season at Manchester City, he rarely played. He didn't meet the standards of Pep Guardiola and the rest of his City squad. Over time, though, the team's hard-working culture rubbed off on him, and in his second season, he thrived, helping the team win the treble. Grealish's transformation was thanks to Man City's culture of perfectionism. That is why almost no one goes there and flops. And now compare that to the big brother across town, where the culture is awful. The effect is often opposite to the one we saw Grealish endure at City. Players like Romelu Lukaku, Angel Di Maria, and Harry Maguire all had promising starts at Old Trafford. But as time went on, they seeped down to the level of the rest of the squad, and those transfers ended in disaster. No matter how talented, players come to Manchester United and are limited to mediocrity. And it's because of that toxic culture they're put inside. Maybe it's through overestimating themselves, maybe it's through not putting extra hours in the gym, maybe it's through not listening to the manager as much. But either way, the United culture brings out the worst in not just players on the field, but the worst in people in general. And the case of Jadon Sancho perfectly illustrates this. He had some disciplinary issues back in his youth days, which was mainly forgotten when he was playing in Dortmund. Couple seasons in this poor environment though, and those issues, surprise surprise, are back. Erik ten Hag has done well on setting new standards, but the traces of that toxic culture still linger, like we saw at times last season. Cause again, like Roy Keane told us, leopards don't change their spots. So Julian, I hear you ask, what is the fix? Obviously, solution number one, and the most obvious, is that you have to get rid of the leopards. Who are those leopards? How many are there? That is not my question to answer. It should be solely down to the first team manager. If he believes a player is a bad influence on the rest of the squad, he should have full authority to sell and replace said player. And that sounds obvious, right? But it's just not that simple at Manchester United, is it? Here's why. Back when Ralf Rangnick took over, remember he was originally supposed to serve his half season as manager and then graduate to a consultant of the club. Fast forward a few months and things weren't going well for Rangnick. He started to see just how bad the situation was in the dressing room. He started realizing it's toxic and unrepairable. And when asked about what had to change at United, Rangnick didn't hold back.
It's crystal clear. It's not that difficult. You don't even need glasses to analyze and to see where the problems are. So now it's only about how do we solve them. And for me, it's clear. It's not enough to do some little minor amendments, some little issues here and there, some minor cosmetic things. No, this is In medicine, you would see this is an operation at the open heart.
That didn't happen. Not even close, actually. Instead, the club silently fired Ralf Rangnick for exposing the issues at the club because it simply would have been too expensive to repair them in a summer. In fact, there are 15 players from Ollie's reign that are still there at Manchester United. 6 from Mourinho's and 4 from Louis van Gaal's. It's hard to create new culture at a club when almost all of the players are set in old ones. It's also widely understood that Erik ten Hag wanted to replace many more players as well this past summer. Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, and Jadon Sancho were all names on that list. They all stayed though, and only weeks later, Sancho and Maguire were making headlines in the media while McTominay continued to underperform. In a window where Chelsea were able to sign 12 players and sell over 15, United were either unable or unwilling to make the moves Ten Hag wanted. And right now, they're getting punished for it. So while solution number 1 is obvious, it can't happen without the second, bigger solution, which is a new philosophy. At the time of recording, Jim Ratcliffe is all but confirmed to be buying a 25% stake in United for a little over £1.5 billion. But what is unclear is if he'll offer the solution the club needs the most. Look, United hasn't been run well. That's no secret. It's obvious the Glazers and their confidants are best left to deal with the business side of the club. After all, from a commercial and marketing standpoint, they haven't done terrible. But when you have business people making decisions, they make it with business as the priority. It's cheaper not to pay out Maguire or to bring back old Johnny Evans, even though finding a long-term center back option would have made the team better. That's the kind of philosophy that's been killing United. Question now is, what's gonna change under Ratcliffe? He could either be the spark this club needs to come alive again, or he'll just be another Glazer. He has to be a massive step up from this current regime. And if he's not, the club is just screwed, isn't it? But the point is, it's not something that one coach or one player can really fix. It requires a change in philosophy that will almost certainly be needing a shakeup of the entire club. And until that toxic United cycle changes, don't be surprised when their next £100 million star signing doesn't perform up to the standard that you think he will. Thank you.